Judge Juan Merchan to freeze, to put on hold Donald Trump's sentencing date on his 34 felony convictions. So what happens now? Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, for months now, I've been saying that Donald Trump's criminal case in New York, in which the jury convicted him of 34 felony crimes, all designed to cheat in the 2016 presidential election, I've been saying that it would not likely proceed to sentencing. But now that we know that is the case, it still feels like a justice gut punch. Let's start with the new reporting. This from the New York Times. Headline, Manhattan DA suggests freezing Trump's case while he is president. And that article begins, Manhattan prosecutors on Tuesday rebuffed President-elect Donald Trump's request to dismiss his criminal conviction in the wake of his electoral victory, signaling instead their willingness to freeze the case while he holds office. In a letter to the judge overseeing the case, prosecutors from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office emphasized that a jury had already convicted Mr. Trump of falsifying records to cover up a sex scandal, to cheat in a presidential election, yes, my editorial addition. But acknowledging the unprecedented nature of the case, Mr. Trump would be the first felon to serve as president, the prosecutors raised the prospect of a 4-year freeze. The judge, Juan Merchan, will now decide in the coming weeks whether to freeze the case or dismiss it outright, a momentous ruling that will shape the outcome of the only one of Mr. Trump's 4 criminal cases that made it to trial. Dismissing the case would further embolden Mr. Trump as he enters his second presidential term, solidifying an aura of invincibility around him. In their letter, the prosecutors spoke out against the dismissal, urging the judge to balance the interests of the presidency with the integrity of the criminal justice system. The people deeply respect the office of the president, are mindful of the demands and obligations of the presidency, and acknowledge that defendants' inauguration will raise unprecedented legal questions, the prosecutors wrote. We also deeply respect the fundamental role of the jury in our constitutional system. Eager to clear his criminal record, Mr. Trump is now expected to move forcefully for a dismissal, setting in motion a legal battle that could shadow his second presidential term and ultimately reach the U.S. Supreme Court. Okay, friends, and let's just have a quick look at the prosecutor's new court filing, this letter they submitted to Judge Merchan. And let me just read this one line that is as powerful as it is irrefutable. No current law establishes that a president's temporary immunity from prosecution requires dismissal of a post-trial criminal proceeding that was initiated at a time when the defendant was not immune from criminal prosecution and that is based on unofficial conduct for which the defendant is also not immune. Friends, I got to be honest. I am one pissed off prosecutor. I am one angry American. Can I share just a few thoughts with you? This is not a failure of the rule of law. This is a failure of the people who administer the rule of law. And even more pointedly, it's the people who distort and corrupt and pervert the rule of law. This bullshit is directly attributable to the Supreme Court justices who ignore and violate the plain language and meaning of the Constitution in their determination to protect a criminal president. That's why the rule of law is failing. They are why the rule of law is failing. And friends, it breaks my heart to say this, but in some ways we are becoming a lawless country. At least in as much as the ruling class criminals, Donald Trump and his criminal associates, are being allowed to get away with everything. And that is something that our country cannot long endure. And friends, let's finish with this. You know, somehow Donald Trump has managed to get rid of, temporarily, maybe permanently, his 2 federal criminal cases, one for ordering an attack on the U.S. Capitol to try to stop the certification of his opponent's election win, and another in which he stole our nation's most closely guarded secrets, obstructed justice by refusing to give them back, and violated our nation's espionage laws. And in his other criminal case, in which he was found guilty by a jury of his peers of trying to cheat in an earlier presidential election, what is his defense? You know, I contended with a lot of defenses in a lot of criminal cases over my 30-year career. You know, Donald Trump isn't offering the defense of, alibi or mistaken identity or, self-defense or insanity or reasonable doubt or anything else. No, he's offering the defense of his position, his title, his influence. I'm a former president. I'm a presidential candidate. I'm a president-elect, soon to be president again. I can't be held accountable for my crimes, including crimes that I committed designed to steal the election, to win the very title I am now offering in my defense. I am offering as a reason I can't be prosecuted. I can't be held accountable for my crimes. It's my position. It's my title. And friends, if we let him get away with that, if the system lets him get away with that, the defense that my position, my title, my power, my influence, my prestige means I can't be held accountable for my democracy-busting crimes, if we accept that, if the system accepts that, then I don't know how we keep our republic. Because then justice is just another word. And it's not just another word. Justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.